Hey guys, today we're tackling a question that's probably haunted all of us. Why, in the most critical moments of your life, does your mind suddenly just check out? You're sitting there, in an important job interview. The words you've practiced for days are right on the tip of your tongue, but instead of speaking, you're mentally calculating how many dust bunnies are hiding under the interviewer's desk. You're on a first date with someone you really connect with, and right when you should be making a brilliant point, you're lost in thought, replaying a funny meme you saw this morning. You're in the middle of a high-stakes presentation, and as your boss looks you in the eye, you're not seeing his face, but a mental picture of your laundry piling up at home. So before we go deeper into today's topic, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. This isn't just a quirky habit. It's a profound, sometimes frustrating quirk of your own survival instincts. Your brain is a brilliant and occasionally overzealous security guard. When it senses a high-pressure situation, it doesn't always respond by sharpening your focus. Instead, it can trigger a kind of internal alarm system that's designed for an entirely different kind of threat. It's what psychologists call the fight-or-flight response, but in modern life, it often manifests as a freeze response. Think of it like this. Your ancient ancestors, faced with a saber-toothed tiger, didn't always choose to fight or flee. Sometimes, they'd freeze in place, hoping the predator wouldn't see them. This same primal circuit is still active in your brain today, and it can be triggered by things that are stressful, but not physically dangerous. The job interview, the big presentation, these are your modern-day saber-toothed tigers. When this alarm sounds, a flood of hormones, like cortisol and adrenaline, courses through your system. This is great for an emergency sprint, but terrible for complex cognitive tasks. The part of your brain responsible for logical reasoning, the prefrontal cortex, starts to go offline. It's like your brain is diverting power from the sophisticated operating system to the basic, survival-focused software. This leads to a phenomenon known as cognitive overload, where the sheer volume of stress-related sensory input and hormonal noise overwhelms your capacity to think clearly. You're trying to remember your key points, but your brain is screaming, "Danger! High stakes!" The mental equivalent of 1,000 flashing red lights and blaring sirens, all inside your head. Here's an easy-to-understand example. Imagine you're a juggler, but instead of balls, you're juggling different types of stress. One ball is the pressure to perform well. Another is the fear of failure. A third is the memory of past mistakes. Suddenly, a fourth ball, the interviewer's stern expression, gets added to the mix. Your hands are already full. Instead of catching the new ball, you simply drop everything. Your focus isn't on the task anymore. It's scattered, searching for a place to put down the overwhelming load. Your mind isn't empty. It's just full of everything but the thing you need to focus on. That's cognitive overload in action. Your brain decides, consciously or not, that the best way to handle this influx is to simply retreat. It's a self-preservation mechanism, albeit a deeply inconvenient one, that disconnects you from the present moment to prevent a complete system crash. You're physically there, but your consciousness has taken a mental vacation to a safer, less stressful place, like thinking about laundry. This mental retreat, while a natural defense mechanism, isn't without its long-term consequences. When your mind checks out, it creates gaps in your memory, and this is where the repercussions really start to sting. Think about it. A core part of learning and remembering is paying attention in the first place. If you weren't fully present during that critical moment, your brain never encoded the experience properly. It's like trying to record a video with the lens cap on. You know you were there, but the file is just a blank screen. This phenomenon is a psychological effect known as state-dependent memory. Our ability to recall information is often tied to the physical and emotional state we were in when we learned it. If you were in a high-stress, zoned-out state, you'll have a harder time recalling details about that time later. You won't just forget what your boss said during the presentation. You might even forget the sensation of being there, the details of the room, or the specific questions that were asked. This lack of detailed memory can have a domino effect on your future decision-making. Since your brain didn't fully process the nuances of that high-stakes conversation or presentation, it can't create a complete mental blueprint for handling a similar situation next time. It's like trying to build a new house based on a blurry, incomplete photocopy of the blueprints. You might remember the general idea, but you won't have the key details you need to succeed. This means that instead of learning from your experience, you're more likely to repeat the same pattern of zoning out, reinforcing the cycle of avoidance and poor performance. The brain, remember, is wired for efficiency. If its go-to strategy for stress is to freeze and retreat, it will keep defaulting to that tactic until you teach it something new. This is why you might find yourself zoning out in all of your important moments, not just a single one. Your brain has learned that this is the best way to cope. Let's use another example to make this clearer. Remember that feeling we talked about in the last section, about calculating the number of dust bunnies during a job interview? What happens when you leave that interview? You might recall feeling nervous, and you might have a vague memory of the interviewer's final question, but you'll struggle to remember your specific answer. A week later, when you're preparing for another interview, you won't have a clear memory of what worked or didn't work. You'll be flying blind, relying on a generalized sense of stress rather than a concrete record of the experience. This lack of detailed feedback prevents you from improving. You can't learn to manage your stress if you don't remember how it manifested. This creates a cycle where you're perpetually unprepared for moments that matter most, leading to more anxiety and, you guessed it, more zoning out. The more you disconnect, the harder it is to reconnect and learn from your mistakes. It's crucial to understand that this isn't a sign of weakness or a personal failing. It's a primal, hardwired response. To break the cycle, you must first recognize it. The first step toward re-engaging your mind is acknowledging that this is a natural psychological process, not a character flaw. This insight empowers you to approach your own brain not with frustration, but with the gentle, understanding attitude of a coach. You can then begin to implement strategies like mindful breathing or mental preparation to calm your inner security guard and teach your brain a new, more effective way to handle stress. So remember, the solution isn't to get angry at yourself for zoning out. The solution is to understand why you're zoning out and to equip yourself with the tools to stay present. By understanding this natural psychological process, you give yourself the power to rewrite your brain's programming. The good news is, you're not trapped in this cycle. As the great philosopher Viktor Frankl once said, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Your zone-out response is a stimulus. Your conscious choice to stay present is your response. By understanding the why behind this behavior, you gain the power to create that space, to pause, take a breath, and re-engage. You have the power to step out of the fog and into the moment, to build better memories and a stronger foundation for success.